as a rule, the players are waiting for the coach, but it's something about class that we want to make sure that he goes to class, stays till the end, and we don't want to let a press conference keep him from finishing his class. So I will make a brief comment and then let you ask questions of maybe DeShawn first and go from there. It's obvious that the game we have on Wednesday is a huge game for both San Diego State and New Mexico. A three-way tie at the top, three really good teams. New Mexico, probably no argument, playing better than anybody right now. Look at their last 5 scores. 42-point win, 30-some-odd point win, 20-some-odd point win. And the 10-point win against Wyoming is the closest anybody's come to them since they lost back-to-back, us in Vegas. So it's a big game. And we're playing a very, very good team. We understand that. We have them at home, coming off of a tough loss for us at Vegas. So I know we will be ready, as will the Lobos, and we will appreciate the fact that we'll be in the friendly confines with our crowd cheering for us tomorrow. So if you want to start with DeShawn.
DeShawn, what's been the team's reaction to the loss? Not necessarily right after, but in the practices and through work and things like that.
It was a tough loss. Everybody looked at it as a tough loss, but we looked at it as we just went into practice working harder than we normally do, and we just got to pick up from where we left off.
Have you gotten the sense that the team understands just how pivotal this game is in the conference, right?
Definitely. I honestly think we take every game as important as this next one is. So we're just looking forward to playing as hard as we normally play, and we're not trying to come up short this time.
Sean, the conference games have a different feel when you're on the court.
Definitely. It's more intensity, faster pace. It's definitely a different feeling from the regular season games. You can feel it from the crowd to the coaches to the players to just the feel of the game entirely.
Does familiarity with the opponent, does that enter into that?
Yeah, definitely, because in conference play you have more film and teams pretty much know what you're going to run already. So it just depends on execution and things like that.
Sean, is there any talk yet about seeding in the Mountain West Conference tournament? The obvious talk amongst media is if you win this game and can finish the number 1 seed, you'll be on the opposite side of New Mexico and UNLV. Is there any talk about that at all?
I'm not sure if Coach Fisher's heard anything. I haven't. Honestly, I'm not really worried about it as of now. I'm just trying to finish out the conference.
Into this game, obviously, Drew Gordon's a post presence, and he's a tough guy down low. What did you learn from your last experience, just like not only with him, but just how to deal with their inside presence?
They're good. The team is good. The post presence is definitely a problem, but our coaches prepare us properly and let us know what we need to do and what needs to be done, and we just work hard at executing what we're supposed to do.
How do you feel like, can you gauge your level of comfort and confidence in the system now that you're so far into the season? Do you feel like you've grown?
There's definitely things that I need to learn or I need to pick up on, but I think I'm at a comfortable state and I think I understand what's going on. It's just how I feel.
You actually dunked on Drew in the last game, and you guys came back from 10 down. I mean, it was kind of a feel-good story. How much are you going to use the confidence you gained from that last game on Wednesday?
Well, it was the last game, so this is a brand new game. I can't really look at that as like something to look forward to because it already happened. So I might not catch him this game, so I just got to work at it.
Sean, what do you think New Mexico's mood is going to be coming into this game after what you did over at their place?
I definitely think they think that they're supposed to come win, so they're going to come play to win, and we just have to be ready.
DeShawn, you guys are down 10-0 to Mexico last time you guys played, and then
We just have a lot of heart. I think every player, we play as hard as we can every minute of the game. So no matter what really the score is, we just keep playing hard.
Anything else for DeShawn? Okay, thanks, DeShawn.
You can go in 1 minute. I want to take 30 seconds. I rarely sit with the players when they do their little spiel. I'm tremendously impressed. For a guy that's not used to having mics and cameras in front of his face, to be poised and be articulate and say things in a fashion that, without prompting by me coming in and trying to tell him what to say, this is a young guy that's growing in every way at San Diego State. And this is no small part of it, what he's doing right now. He's not used to this, but now he's used to it. His game has evolved in a fashion where you say, close your eyes and think of him a year from now, and, you know, if you were wishing way back, say, boy, wouldn't it be nice to have him for 4 years? But it's great to have him, and I think you see a little bit of why we're good and what he brings. He's always ready, never complains. You can chew on him as hard as you want, and he looks you in the eye. Whether you're right or wrong with what you're saying in his mind, he makes you feel you're right, and he nods, and that's how he's tried to play. And he's made great strides for us, and we're going to need him not only against New Mexico, but as we move through the season. So he's a great representative of San Diego State, and in particular our basketball program. So
Thanks,
now
Coach.
off to class.
Thanks, Coach.
Good to see you, bud.
All right.
Steve, have you ever had a player that you needed to talk to after a presser who maybe was a little too cocky or didn't do a very good job of answering the questions in the way that you would have liked them to be answered?
Never. I've had nothing but model citizens everywhere I've been. There are some that Mike May selectively doesn't put up here on occasion, and it's called life. It's, you know, everybody has their own way, and sometimes the people are able to verbalize it. Sometimes frustration leads to comments that would be best left unsaid. I do believe, for the most part, our young guys have represented themselves up and with a camera in their face pretty effectively most of the time. But yes, some are better than others, obviously.
Coach, what do you think New Mexico's mood will be coming in after you went there and beat them in their place?
Obviously, they are anxious to prove they're better than we are. We went into their building. They were picked #1 in the league. They had a wonderful non-conference season, and for whatever reason, they weren't rated. They're still not rated. They deserve to be rated. So I can imagine what they're saying in their locker room, saying, hey, we're better than they are, and they're rated and we're not. So we'll get a focused New Mexico team, starting with Steve Alford right through every player on their team. But that's what you expect. And I do believe we will be exactly the same way. Hardeman, I saw one little quote from Hardeman, their big senior center, when they asked him about the game. And not unlike the football player, can't wait is what he said in terms of playing the game. So I think it'll be a highly competitive, very intense, hard-fought basketball game.
Steve, as the NCAA tournament has expanded and as this league in particular has gotten more bids, do you think that the regular season games are losing anything?
Do I think it loses anything?
Regular season games within the league, are they losing anything because so many of the teams are likely to advance?
No, I really don't, Tim. I think that there are so many teams that are good that if you want to make the tournament, you better have a non-conference body of work that you can say, look what we did here, here, and here. And I think that's what has allowed our conference to get talked about, because we've all had some really significant non-conference wins, and I don't care to go through all of them, but I will mention one. How about TCU in the non-conference play being the only team to beat Virginia in non-conference play? So I think that's elevated everything from RPI of our league to perception nationally, to where now they are talking, well, 3 should get in, maybe a 4th could possibly get in. But there are other leagues, too, that are doing the same thing, that are saying, hey, they got so many here and then 2 or 3 others that might get in, that at the end of the selection, only 68 are going to get in. It sounds like a lot, but there are still going to be some very good teams that don't get in. So I don't think so. I think for good teams, they're thinking we want a better seed, so we better win. And others, we better win if we want to get in.
Coach, this season you've obviously already had several marquee wins. New Mexico's a team that has a nice record, but they don't have any quote-unquote marquee wins over a top 25 team. You've been on that other side a few years ago where you were searching for that marquee win. Can you talk about, is it a feeling of desperation or just how motivated a team gets and what you're going to be facing on Wednesday night, because they certainly are searching for that one big win?
I think that there are all sorts of things that enter in. New Mexico's used to winning. I mean, if you look at what Alfred's done since he's been there, they've been one of the better teams in this league, and I think they went to a Sweet 16 one year and had a great record. So I don't know whether that's the driving force, because they have been there. Maybe not this year, but this is a game that you turn on the TV on when they start talking about big conference games. This is another big conference game for both of us, for both teams. If we get a win, now Vegas the next week or Saturday goes to New Mexico. So it's a huge game for both teams.
In terms of, moving on quickly from Saturday's tough loss, when you have an opponent like New Mexico, players almost don't have a choice. Can the scheduling be of a benefit from a motivation standpoint and from a forward-looking perspective?
It could be the fact that we're playing a team that our players know. They know they were rated number 1 coming into the season, picked number 1. They realize they've got, I believe, 4 starters back from last year's team and 10 guys that are playing double-digit minutes with the depth that they have. So we know that we're going to have to play. And yet, I do think one of the nicest things about this year's team with us is we have been prepared mentally. They have prepared themselves to play regardless. We haven't always played perfectly, but it hasn't been from lack of preparation or looking ahead or dwelling on what just happened. I think that's the reason we've been as successful as we have, is they've done a nice job of moving on into that next game.
Coach, you're not one, I know, to look ahead to seedings and NCAA tournament seedings, but do you worry about your players doing that? I mean, it's out there so much now more than it used to be. There's always bracketologists, 2, 3, 4 of them, and they have you at 3 or 4 or 5, and if you win this game, you could go here. How do you sort of guard against that kind of forward-looking?
To date, I have never mentioned that piece of the equation to our team. There'll come a time as we move a little closer to the end of the season that you'll talk about where we are and what we could do if we were to get another win or another win. So I'm not sure what they talk about amongst themselves about that. I really don't know. As our staff, we have not talked about that at all. We've said we must get ready to win this next one, and obviously we want to win the conference. We want to win the conference, and if you win our league, is the way our league's viewed right now, that's gonna elevate everything that others say about you. So I don't think it's become an issue, and I'm pretty perceptive as to the kind of what's going on.
Which weight do you think winning the league has with the selection committee?
Good question. And I'm really not sure. I don't know. The fact that ourselves and BYU a year ago from the Mountain West Conference were rated in the top 10 the last half of the season, and we got as high as we did, and we wound up with a 2 seed, and both of us went to the Sweet 16. The success Vegas has had this year, beating North Carolina at Illinois, or even though they played them in Chicago, and some of the other wins that we've had, I think that it will be highly regarded. And if that same team wins conference and conference tournament, it would be a tremendous boost for that team. If you have a conference winner and a conference tournament winner, I think it would raise both boats, and maybe even the third place team.
Coach, on a slightly different subject, there's a report from ESPN that Tony Gwynn has had a bit of a relapse with his cancer, and he's going in for a surgery. I don't know if you know about it or not, but as a cancer survivor yourself, wondering what your reaction is towards a calling like that.
I called Mike May as I was driving in. I heard it on the radio coming in, and obviously our thoughts, as all of San Diego, are with Tony and Alicia and their family, and we pray that that what they're doing will be successful, and he'll be back in the dugout doing what he does best. It doesn't discriminate. It jumps at everybody, and I had prostate cancer and have been a bit of a spokesperson for that, getting screened, knowing your score, and that sort of thing. Sometimes you can do everything and still be one that has to deal with it. But I'm like everybody. You pray that he'll be okay.
Have you two talked about battling cancer and that sort of thing?
No. He asked me. I mean, when I had my issue, he would ask, how you doing, how you feeling, and I've done the same with him. But to sit and talk about it, no.
Then one other off the beaten topic. In the NBA, the hot story right now is Jeremy Lin for the Knicks. I don't know if you follow it at all, but I'm just curious as to your reaction of a guy who comes from Harvard, undrafted, works his way up, and all of a sudden takes the league by storm like that.
I've watched with interest. I remember a year ago they had an article in the New York Times on him, and they opened with they had a preseason game here in San Diego. The Golden State Warriors did with the Lakers, and I watched. I wanted to watch him even back then when he was just being talked about a little bit. I watched him in warm-ups, and he played 5 or 6 minutes, and it was even a bit of a feel-good story then. It's great to see, obviously. Unbelievable what the Knicks have done since he's been in the starting lineup. And I wanted to let 2 assistants go for not recruiting him out of high school, but nobody recruited him. He's from me to you to Stanford, and they didn't recruit him. I hope that we're talking about him a year from now, that he's doing those continued great things. To be honest, I'm more worried about Kawhi than I am Jeremy. I'm very proud of what Kawhi's doing with San Antonio. And I've talked to their coaches, and they love him. And he's doing a lot of the same things for them that he did for us. Got a nose for the ball. He can rebound the ball, and he's rebounding it at the NBA level. And they love his competitiveness, and they will put him on the best wing player on the other team. And he hasn't shrunk from the challenge. And he's represented himself in San Diego State extremely well.